Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me. My name is Lisa Annabelli, and I wanted to come on today and give you another prophetic word. Last video that we did, the Lord spoke and said that the roar is at the door, according to Amos chapter 3, verses 7 and 8. And the roar at the door was that it is time to build and to plant. Well, as I've been spending time with the Lord, and actually I was in a conference recently, and I was given the opportunity to have 5 minutes to share. Well, the person that began to speak before me talked about the gate beautiful being a timing gate. And she ended with the conversation of revealing to us that the gate beautiful is a timing gate. But she never went as far as to say what time it is. And so the Lord told me, I want you to follow up with her in this conference, and I want you to tag from where she ended, and I want you to declare what time it is. And so I wanted to share with you where we are on the timeline of God, because it is exciting and it is imperative that we are operating in correct timing with God. One of the greatest challenges that we as people face, which is why we use the word delay a lot, is because we don't understand timing. The Lord spoke to me and revealed to me there is no such thing as delay when it comes to God. God knows the exact timing of everything. The reason we feel like something is delayed is because we put a time limit on it, or we established a time that we thought in which something was supposed to be accomplished. And when it wasn't accomplished in our timing, we declare or we cry out, delay, delay, delay. So, for example, you think of Abraham. God spoke to him in Genesis 12 and said, I'm going to make you a father of many nations. He looked up into the stars and he said, if you can count the number of stars, that's going to be the number of descendants you have. Well, little did Abraham know it was going to take 20 plus years before that word came to pass. So he shares it with Sarah. They do what they need to do to try to have a child, but nothing happens. After 13 years, Sarah's like, enough is enough. And she hands over Hagar to Abraham, and they give birth to Ishmael. And then it's 12 or 13 years later, or 14 years later, before Isaac is born. God knew the exact timing of when Isaac was going to be born. He knew Abraham was going to be 99 years old. He knew Sarah was going to be 80 plus years old. He was fully aware of what was going on, but they weren't aware of God's timing. And how often do we get disappointment fatigue because we set up parameters of timing in our own doing rather than in what God is doing? I love what Johnny Enlow said one time. He said, if God gives you the what, he won't give you the when or the where. If God gives you the where, he won't give you the when or the what. And if God gives you the when, he won't give you the where or the what. And the reason he does that, Johnny said, and I love this, he said, because we only see in part. When people come out and declare the rapture is coming on this date in this year, you just declared the what and the when. And Johnny Enlow says biblically, very rarely did they know both the what and the when. Jeremiah knew that in 70 years, they were going to be removed from Babylonian captivity. He didn't know where they were going. He just knew God was going to remove Babylonian captivity off of them. He knew that they were going into Babylonian captivity for 70 years. Can you imagine being a prophet, having to declare that people are going into Babylonian captivity for 70 years? That wouldn't have been a very good prophetic word that people wanted to hear. But it was a timing word. It was a time capsule prophetic word. God gave him the how long. He gave him the when captivity was going to end. He's like, you're going to be in captivity for 70 years. And that's where we get the famous passage out of Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you, to give you a future and a hope. But you got to go through 70 years of captivity before that prophetic time capsule is going to open and you are going to have a beautiful future and a beautiful hope. So I say all that to say, we are living in a timing moment with God. We are at the gate beautiful. It's time for something. What is it time for? It's time for Genesis 7:11. It's 7:11 time. This is not time for Slurpees and big gulps. This is the time for 7:11 time in Genesis. And here's what it says. It says, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, on the same day, all the fountains of the great deep burst open, and the floodgates of the sky were opened. We are in Genesis 7:11 time, where the floodgates of heaven are opening and pouring out the glory of God, and the springs of earth are rising up as fountains of glory in earth. We are in a time where heaven and earth are having a perfect match. But this is not just earth in the sense of heaven and earth. This is also people that are older, that carry wisdom, that have operated in the power of God. God is waking them up to pour out what they learned in their revivals, in their experiences with God, in their encounters. God is waking them up again and saying, pour out what I gave you. I'm not done with you. To you that are 55 and older, you are to open up your mouth and declare what God has given you. You in your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, you've seen things that our generations need to hear about. You've heard things that our generations need to know from you. And we are not going to put you on a shelf and say you're irrelevant. We need what God did in your generation to come into this generation. And then the springs of earth are bursting forth. Why do you think everybody's declaring, arise and shine, for the glory of the Lord is upon you? Because the springs of earth, everyone in the generations beneath those that have gone before us, we are springing up, we are rising up, we are bursting forth, we are beginning to bubble up, we are beginning to have rivers of living water flowing out of our bellies, we are beginning to burst, we are beginning to bubble, we are beginning to understand the things of God. And there's a hunger. And it's happening on campuses, and it's happening in companies, and it's happening in communities, and it's happening in churches, and it's happening in cities, and it's happening in nations. There's a bubbling up, and there's windows of heaven that have opened up, and there's earth that is bubbling up. And as the two come together, not leaving any generation out, as the heavens that are opening and pouring out a blessing, and the earth that is bubbling up, as the two come together, we are going to see a Habakkuk 2:14 experience that is going to blow our minds. For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of God, as the waters cover the sea. It's Genesis 7:11 time, because the Lord wants the knowledge of the glory of God to cover the earth as the waters cover the sea. Those that are bubbling up with the spirit of wisdom and revelation. That's the knowledge. But the knowledge of a glory that they know by revelation, but we don't know by experience. That's why we need the generations that have gone before us, because they carry the experience of the glory of God. I was in a conference recently, and this woman blew on me, and the power of God hit me. I was in a coffee shop about a year ago, and a woman laid hands on, she just put her hand on my arm, and electricity flowed through my body. I'm telling you, there is something in the generation that has gone before us, and they carry power. The power of the glory of God. And then our generation, this generation, has knowledge, revelation, spirit of wisdom and understanding that is bubbling up in us, that is causing us to have fresh revelation of Christ in us, the hope of glory. And God is marrying the windows of heaven that are opening and pouring out, the springs of earth that are bubbling up. And I'm telling you, we are about to see a Habakkuk 2:14. It's Habakkuk 2:14 and Genesis 7:11 time. No one is going to get left out. Everyone is needed because it is time for the knowledge of the glory of the Lord to fill the earth as the waters cover the sea. You want to know what time it is? It's Genesis 7:11 time because God has decreed Habakkuk 2:14. We are living in phenomenal days and everyone is needed.